early on with Blossom, somebody said, "Hey, is it hard working with Joey?" And I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, he's not very smart." I was so puzzled, and I thought I was just puzzled. 'Cause I never watched the show.
Because he played such
Oh my
a
God.
idiot
Yeah.
on the show.
And I said, I'm
Oh my
thinking,
gosh.
he takes Latin and calculus, and he's smart. One of my smartest kids I've ever had, And I was just so puzzled. But anyway, back
That
to
is so funny.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody.
We are back.
Hello.
We are here. You are here. It is the Brotherly Love Pod. As
Pod
Andy
to
always
pod.
said. Yeah, the pod to pod.
I coined it.
He coined it. He trademarked it. We own that now. Every time somebody says that,
I get a
Andy
dollar.
gets a little
He
check.
got in there right before Bill Gates.
He
somehow.
did. He did. He beat Bill Gates. It's his first time Bill Gates ever lost to anything. No, we did it, and we are here in studio
Yes.
today, which we always are. But sometimes we either have guests or we don't. Sometimes they're in studio and they're not. But today we have an in-studio guest for all of you
Very
watching
special
us
guest.
on YouTube. And we're very excited because this person has been in our lives for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
3 decades plus.
Yeah.
Probably, honestly, I think we can say is probably the smartest person that we know, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Technically, literally
Yeah.
the
you
smartest.
guys need to get around.
No.
Yeah.
No,
No.
literally the smartest.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think so.
I think that's
in many different,
quantifiably.
different
I think,
categories,
yeah.
categories.
Yes,
Yeah.
just sort of. He must have just come out of the womb like all knowing. Because he just knows
I
everything.
want to know this. I want to know. Actually, we got
I want to know.
Let's get to the
Anyway,
introduction.
I want to get the introduction. So
we can get
so
talking.
He has been,
I got lots
he
of
is-
stuff
he
to
was,
talk
he
about.
Was
Me too.
my mom as an educator found when I was going into.
We've talked about this before. It's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
On
Education
set.
was the key
Yeah.
for us,
Yeah.
right? My mom was paramount, and in her search, she came across Rocky Glenn, who is an amazing person. First
Dun
of
dun
all,
dun 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 dun.
No, and Rocky. Well, let's just
To
welcome
us,
him
he
to the
really
pod.
is. He
Yeah,
is our
right?
Rocky.
Rocky Glenn, everybody.
Yeah, he is
Thank
our.
you.
He is our Rocky.
He is our Rocky.
You know,
He is
my
our
whole
Rocky,
life,
yeah.
honestly, you've been
Thank
that
you.
staple for
And
sure.
Rocky, he became my specialized tutor. Okay,
Yes.
to help me with my math and my sciences.
Yeah.
And not only did he come in, he was a young guy. You were
Yeah,
young,
25.
20,
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy
So
to think
35
about.
years.
25. You were 1.
Yeah.
You were 9.
Right.
Wow.
13.
Yeah. So
Right.
35 years.
Holy
Yes,
cow,
that's
man.
how long we've known him. And we developed.
Crazy,
my
huh?
God.
It started with he was so good with me,
Yeah.
but we developed this bond, and
Yeah.
he became like an older brother / like father figure, uncle, and then obviously our parents became really great friends with him and now his wife,
Yeah.
and he has these amazing.
Oh, I don't even
children.
wanna talk
Well,
about
we'll
the
get into
family.
that.
I
The
know.
family is
That's
like
all.
he's basically just him and his wife, they birth like Navy SEALs and
Just the
future
most
presidents,
Just the most
and-
amazing
Yeah.
family
Yes.
across
Just-
the board. I mean,
yes.
talk
smartest,
about
sweetest, kindest,
Wonderful.
most perfect children
Yes,
ever.
yes.
You know,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if there's a playbook, you got to grab the one that he used because his kids turned out great.
Yeah. It's very true.
And anyway, and it just turned into this beautiful relationship.
Yep.
And we've had so many amazing memories, and we'll talk about some of them today. But more than that, I always said, because he was so brilliant with education, the way he taught me was so amazing.
and found ways around,
Yes,
and
the
started,
convention.
and started a way ahead of the curve with these
Oh my gosh.
learning
20
techniques that I
years.
now
Yes.
see people talking about.
20 years ahead of the
This was
curve.
way ahead of the curve,
Way ahead.
So
And he finally started a school.
yes,
And-
by the way, that our mother
Right.
Yep.
teaches
That's
that.
where my mom teaches.
Yeah, yeah.
She's the reading specialist, among other things.
Pretty darn
But
cool.
more than that, I had the amazing gift of being able to send my 2 oldest daughters there in
Yep.
their formative years. They were there for all of their formative educational years.
Yeah.
And the foundation that they got as elementary and all through middle school.
Yep.
I mean, it is literally, it's priceless
Yeah.
what that did for them
Yeah.
and their development and just their brain and mental acuity that just has propelled them, forward in their lives, as now Charlie is graduating and going to,
Unbelievable.
an amazing college and Libby's going
Unbelievable.
into high school. But it all started, 35 years ago with Mom using me as a guinea pig for his amazing techniques.
I know,
That's it,
pretty much.
right?
I guess
So
so.
welcome to the pod,
Hey, thank
buddy.
you. I've never felt more welcome. Never felt more welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Good
but
to
it
see you
really
guys.
is. It really is amazing. When we've talked about this a lot, and I want to talk about it today, but You know, and I've talked about it with Charlie during this whole like search for college and all these things, you know, because I'm trying to wrap my mind around sort of like the way that this world is quickly evolving. And I feel like, you know, the digital world is forcing our evolution to exponentially speed up, I feel like we had this sort of period of time where things evolved, but it wasn't until the digital revolution, you know, and social media and all these things and accessibility and instant gratification that now it's gone into like this hyperdrive. At least I feel that as a parent. And I think a lot of parents feel that way because I've talked to them and they just feel like the rope is like, we always were sort of able to like let it out gradually as time
it's gone.
evolved.
It's just reeling out now, you know?
I feel like the digital age is just taking the, like you looked away for one
second. Jaws when the rope on the
exactly.
dock.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But literally, it's like I feel like we looked away for 1 second, the world changed, and we lost the grip. Like it shot out of our hands and left us with rope burns. Yeah. And now we're just trying to figure out, we're able to grab it again, but we're like, what do we do with it? It's so much give now on the rope. I don't know what we do with this. And I've really been racking my brains because, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know. Look, I don't know anybody that loves what you're seeing on college campuses these days. I don't love the riots. I don't love the discontent. The difference of opinion, great. The dialogue and you know, safe space for personal expression and freedom, I love. But the vitriol, the anger, the violence, unacceptable. And it really scares me. And I wanted to get your thoughts, and we can talk about everything, because we kind of are all over the place here on this show.
I thought your mom told me to come and roast you, and I can't do that now. After that kind of introduction.
You can. You still can, and I'm sure you will, because there's a lot to roast. But it's just, I don't know, like how I really would be interested as an educator and somebody who has an amazing school that really, really is changing lives. I was curious to see how you feel about what's going on in the world of education, college campuses, you know, private schools, charter schools versus public schools. Like, you know, what is going on with this whole educational system? Because it's not working. I mean, you're working. The specialized schools are working, but schools at large are
the
not
majority.
working. And
the majority
my girls now,
is, you know,
they made a decision, you know, to, you know, try like, you know, the whole public school type thing, and it's been vastly different, and I'll just leave it at that, you know, vastly. And, you know, and a lot of times I'm very underwhelmed, you know, by their experiences there. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's not really new. The roots and the foundation have started a long time ago.
Okay.
It's just that now the tree has produced the fruit, and now we're seeing the results of what was planted a long time ago.
Gotcha. Got it.
And so I think, you know, there's just a lot of things, depending on where you want to go with this.
Go anywhere you want to go.
You know,
it's your pod.
Yeah.
We're just here to listen.
It's true.
And learn.
It's so true. What was great about, I had never planned to be an educator, but I just
which is so wild.
I just kind of fell into this. But
because you're so good at it. Like, it is your gift, man.
Well, one of the things that was helpful was your mom, because I mean, I was 25, I was a young guy, wasn't married, didn't have kids.
I know. Now you
Obviously.
have 47 kids, and you've been married for 75 years. I
Yeah.
don't know how you did it, because you're only 55.
Something
but you've been married 25 years longer than your actual life.
Something like that. But anyway, but she was kind of a mentor in a sense, because I saw and here's how. It just mattered. Everything mattered to her. Everything mattered. It didn't matter what it was. It mattered everything.
Wow.
Everything mattered. And when I talk to other people that are successful, that's what you see, that is a thread that goes through everyone that is successful. That everything matters, and it drove you crazy. You know,
did at times.
I could hear her. I'm not going to tell you what I heard.
Oh yeah.
But I heard her, and she was on you guys, and it mattered. Everything mattered.
Especially me.
Yeah. you were my first introduction to the Lawrence family.
Yeah, the oldest one.
And so I saw. So, you know, I went to UCLA and I did my thing, but I saw her.
Yeah.
And she was. I remember the first time I sat down with you. I think we were doing geometry. She sat down at the kitchen table.
Obtuse angles.
And all of a sudden, she's two parallel lines are cut by transverse, or alternate interior angles are congruent. Oh, yes, I remember that. I don't know if she was trying to intimidate me, put me on notice, or just show off, or just she was curious.
My mom is.
But all of a sudden, I knew. Like, most parents don't know what I'm doing. They don't know if I'm doing anything, you know. And she was, you know, right on the dot there with her geometry. Yes, ma'am. You know. And so that's how it started.
My mom's pretty smart.
You had to do a report on some Native American tribe, and here she was from Barnes & Noble, 2 bags of books.
Yes,
you know, endless. And it wasn't ever enough.
Nope.
It was never enough.
So I learned just to be excellent from your mom. And,
Wow.
That was she had a big influence on me. In fact, maybe I'm going real off. Can I go off? Just put me back forever.
No,
But
go wherever you want to go. This is what we do on this show.
I was.
There is no path. that
We're
we don't
always
go
a little
down,
off road
Rocky.
on this
Yes,
podcast.
yes.
But it was really funny because I had a family. I think you know the family is. They're CEO of a big company, and the wife was telling me, Rocky, I saw Joey Lawrence on Tonight Show or one of the shows.
Great.
And guess what? You had a big influence on him. He talks just like you. All these mannerisms. I said, oh yeah. And then I went home and I said, oh my goodness, that Lawrence family, I become like them, you know?
The hands.
Yeah.
You have picked up a little of the Italian stuff, I got to tell you.
And so, but it's funny. But you did.
That's
I think
so
your
funny.
family had a big influence on me. And so I saw, you know, all these things.
Wow.
The thing I'm not happy about,
Yeah.
you know what I'm going to say.
No. What are you going to say?
My daughter, my youngest,
Oh,
I
I
have
know.
5, my
I
youngest
know.
daughter.
I know.
Of all
Jeez.
things, you will not be involved in the entertainment industry.
He always said that. He said, listen, I got a lot of respect for you and your
Oh,
brothers.
this is great.
Just so you know, I would never let my kids. My kids will never be entertainers. Because Joey, it's just not a good business. It's not. I don't like it. It's inconsistent. It's unreliable. I don't like it. It'll never happen. Trust me.
That's all she's wanted to do.
Yes, yes.
She heard that
Wow.
actors couldn't cry in cue. She said, that's not a true actor. So every night, literally every night, she'd go up and practice crying. Ask her now, she'll cry on cue
Oh,
like
my
that.
God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Grace
now
can-
this is her
Boom.
her life, and so
Yep.
she's done this. But you've had a big influence,
Wow.
ways I like, maybe ways I aren't the best for me,
Wow.
but they're here. You know,
By
so-
the way,
but
your
I've
kids,
loved it.
and we've said it before,
Yeah.
your daughters are beautiful and amazing and smart and so kind.
Yep.
And your sons are literally like, I mean,
Heroes.
Heroes.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
heroes. Right? They're both in the armed forces.
both Army captains.
Army
One's
captains.
Green Beret.
man.
One's a
Yeah.
Green Beret,
Yeah.
which is something that is slightly difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost as honorable as being an actor.
Joe
And
almost
playing a Green
Yeah, Joe
Beret.
almost played a Green Beret once.
I did. I
Really?
lost out to
You have the
Steven
look.
Dorff. He played it. Steven Dorff was a better Green Beret than me.
I don't
I
know
guess
about that.
Green Berets are $1.30, and and hack a lot. But no, yeah, it's amazing. But I'm honestly, man, it really is. It's so cool to watch you, and you've stepped in. First of all, you were a young dad, and then you had a lot of kids, but you stepped into every phase of your life
Yeah.
with such grace. Actually,
I 100% agree.
right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
truly, and you've been so consistent.
Yep.
Which is really, that's a testament. Like that, I think you're consistent. Look, you're consistent in your thinking, in your approach to things, and I feel like one of the most important things, and as a parent, I mean, I've made a ton of mistakes. I try to correct and do the best I can. I think we're always learning. I tell my girls, because I do look, as a parent, we always try to do the best we can, right? And we, the first one always gets the worst of it
Yes,
because
absolutely. Well, they're your guinea pig.
yes,
I was
and
that.
then,
You were that.
I know.
Charlie.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then you look back and you're like, I'm sure you saw things with your boys, and you were like,
Oh, yeah.
Josh, geez, buddy.
I apologize all the time.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. And my dad does to me too. My dad does to me too.
What did I know?
Yeah.
You know?
No. And when I apologize to my girls, because I don't mind being a parent that goes, you know what? I could have done better there. And I apologize. I was trying to, I thought this was going to work out like this, and it didn't. You know what? I apologize. I said, but you got to remember something, that it's my first day at this point in my life. Like, so I'm learning too,
Yeah.
This is my first day, 48 years old in 3 days. I mean, I haven't lived this day. So I know a lot. I know more than you because I've lived your days, but I haven't lived my days, and I'm still learning these. So forgive me.
I have to say something that I wanted to say for a long time. When I started, I wasn't really part of your family. I was hired.
yeah.
We were,
Yeah.
we were building a relationship.
Yeah.
I remember we used to walk around the production set, I don't know, with Thomas or someplace,
Yep,
and
yep.
he'd be walking around because he owned the world, and he would say, "Rocky, you're like some guy to the 50s, and all buttoned up." And then he said, because I was gonna have a baby Josh, my son, so happy. He says, "Like your son, you're gonna ruin him, And man, I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna teach him to cuss and swear and party.
Wait a minute.
And teach him to drink and smoke. I'm thinking, you don't even drink and smoke.
I don't even drink.
But he had this whole thing that he was going to do. I'm going to teach him and whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so now I talked to Grace last night. I'm going to do this podcast. She said, Dad, just, and she said, well, I don't know what he had any thoughts.
Grace is your entertainer.
Grace is my entertainer.
Yes.
Yes.
Just for the audience.
She is your fourth child
Yes.
in this
Okay.
family.
Okay.
Trust me.
Grace
okay?
is so talented.
Yeah.
Grace is going to be something huge.
Yeah.
I think
Because
Oh, yeah.
she's got the gift. And that's why. It's not for any other reason that she's got the gift. And I feel like, if God gives you that gift and you come down here and you're able to find that gift, my mom found that I had that gift and she's got it. And you guys have been, once you guys have realized that, you guys have been so supportive and she's like you in the fact that she wants, and like the greats, all the greats, they want to be great at everything. So like Michael Jordan didn't not want to be great at everything and refused, even when he was the greatest, he didn't want to lose his edge as the greatest, so he even got greater. And I feel like the greats always do that.
Yeah.
And that's what your daughter
I
has.
saw a lot of that from your family all the time.
Yeah.
Back to my story.
Go.
So I've told that story to my kids before. They laugh at they're older. And Grace kept on thinking, I just found this last night. She says, well, when that's going to happen to me? Like, I'm ready for him. Like, let's go and like live a little bit.
Oh my God.
And she said, Dad, the only man that I know, Dad, stricter than you is Joey. So I kept waiting for this to happen. And there's a little rift between the two that you don't know that I've never shared before.
Really?
I just found out again last night.
Okay. What was it?
Is that you used to take Charlie and Grace to see the movies.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but when the Lawrence go to see movies, it's a party.
Yeah, it
there's
is.
there's everything you need so that you have to take stuff home. I mean, there's just tons of stuff.
Oh, we
We do,
So,
we do it right.
except for the only thing that my daughter and Charlie wanted,
which
which was a Slurpee.
Slurpees, yeah.
Oh no.
Why?
Not a
Because
big fan
Slurpees
of
will
it.
kill you.
Yes.
Because they have special dye in them that will kill you.
Yes, I don't do the Slurpees.
There's no Slurpees. So
The
Grace
red-
is
the
here
red-
watching
the red
him
40.
eat red M&Ms. He's fine with.
Yeah.
Red Twizzlers or what? Twizzlers.
Yeah.
But no red Slurpee. We don't want that stuff. We don't want the pretzels and the hot dogs. We want the Slurpees.
I know.
She didn't
I
get the Slurpee.
I know. I didn't get it. I
So
didn't
if
get
you
it.
want to make amends,
I know. All right.
you
the
and
Slurpee.
Charlie and Grace go and buy her a Slurpee.
I will get them
Okay?
a Coca-Cola Slurpee because that's at least a little better. It's at least doesn't have all the red dye in it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I was a forward thinker, but these things are all being banned now because they're terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm
They're
with you.
terrible.
It's just
But
funny.
you're right, I did
it's
get
funny
strict.
the irony of all this.
I know.
But you've been a great dad, very doting dad.
Well,
you know,
Very.
You know.
very doting.
Charlie, Nick, when Charlie was younger, she used to call you, what is it, Papa Big Shoes? What is he
Yes.
used to-
Well,
Shoes?
and I
I
got
remember this.
Daddy-O.
No, but I like,
Really?
for some reason,
Yeah.
because you would wear his shoes.
Yes.
And she'd be like, you have
Wow.
such big shoes.
I
Papa
know.
Big
Put my shoes and
Papa
walk
Big
around.
Shoes.
Papa
No,
Big
you've
shoes.
been a great
and now
dad.
Charlie
Great
is as
dad.
tall as I am. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
great
Now
dad.
Charlie is literally
I
as
know.
tall as me,
Crazy.
and Libby
Yeah.
is taller than Charlie. Which
Really?
Is crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait,
By
what?
like a quarter inch.
Oh,
Wait, what?
my
Libby
goodness.
is taller than
When did
Charlie.
that happen?
Like in the last 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. They walked
It's always-
in
yeah.
to the kitchen the other day, and I was like, I said, Libby, do you have shoes on? She was like, no. They had just woken up, and I was like, Charlie, and she was like, I know. She's a little taller than me. And Charlie's tall.
I know.
So I was like,
How
what?
tall is Charlie?
I'd say just under 5'9". Yeah. So Libby's probably 5'9".
Wow.
Mhm.
And beautiful, so beautiful.
My girls are really
Yeah,
pretty.
man.
Look, your daughters are beautiful. It's a
I
blessing
know.
and a curse, you know?
Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I know.
Why?
I know.
You know? Why? No, it's it's been crazy. But you had girls and boys. I literally just have girls. No matter what, just have girls.
Yeah.
That's it. I've been blessed with girls, and I'm a girl dad. I'm okay
Yeah.
with
You
that.
don't whelp boys, Joe.
I know. Didn't they? I think they say the guy, the
Skip
male does
Wasn't it Skip?
determine the sex a lot of the time, right?
Interesting.
Thanks a lot. No, it's great. No, I love girls, but it is fundamentally different,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
I mean, I had the experience of
Very
really
different.
being around boys, especially because Andy and I are so far apart that, I was able to sort of like be a part of his upcoming, his like
a surrogate father.
Yes, kind of. So it really gave me an insight into, boys. And I took on a fatherly role with Matt at times in our life just because I felt the responsibility to like be a really good example for these guys. And so it really was, I was able to juxtaposition having girls versus boys. And it is so unbelievably different, right? I mean,
So
it is diametrically opposed, in my opinion. And they're both great, but wow, are they different,
Very different.
right? You're an
Joe-
emotional
Very
referee with
different.
girls.
Yeah.
You're a physical referee
Joe's
with boys.
getting a lot off his chest this
Yeah,
episode.
I know,
Let
geez.
me
A
ask
lot
you
of
something.
memories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me ask you. What did you want to be before you were an educator? What did you
I didn't really have a full plan.
find the Lawrence family? How did the Lawrence family find you?
Yeah, actually, how did
What is
Yeah.
this?
I don't
This
know
stuff
that.
that I don't know.
I went to UCLA. I needed a job,
Right.
And so
How did
someone
you get
said,
to
"Why don't
UCLA?
you?"
What were you doing? How did that
You
happen?
know, no one in my family went to college, and
Really?
so I didn't even know about college, really, to be honest. Imagine.
Wow.
In
What?
11th grade or beginning of 12th grade, I think somebody said, "What college going to, Rocky?" And I literally said, "Oh, I don't know. What college?"
Wow.
I didn't know. It was in my family.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, what's a good college?" They said, "Well, UCLA and USC." I said, "Okay, I'll go to one of them." And so I looked
Of course.
I looked into USC. I said, oh, rich people go there.
Right.
I can't afford that.
Right.
I'll go to UCLA. So I applied to UCLA. And then one of my teachers here filled out this application. And I got one of the top scholarships there. And so my first year was paid for. And but it was good. I just got the only close school I applied to. I wrote my own essay, no SAT prep, but just did this thing. 'Cause I didn't know.
Rocky's
Kind of
really smart.
like Mr. Magoo more. It just kind of, God was kind of watching over me. And I didn't know
Yeah,
what I
but
was
you're
doing.
really smart
Yeah,
too.
it's,
And so anyway, so I got in there
you have an
and I didn't know what I was
amazing brain.
doing. But then I needed a job, and a teacher said, "Why don't you tutor?" So I started tutoring, making money. And then somebody from Universal Studios called and said, "Can you come? And we heard about you. Want you to tutor this kid." And I said, "No, it's too far." I said, "I can't try that far."
Yeah.
I had no business background, which is another thanks to your family. I think it's really helped me a lot and tremendously. But anyway, so then they kept adding zeros. I said, "Oh, maybe I'll do this after all." And so they paid me a lot of money. And so it was the new Leave It to Beaver. And
Oh yeah.
so I worked
Oh
with.
my
Oh my goodness!
gosh.
And it was a great kid. He was Eddie Haskell's son. Forgive me, I forgot. his name
Wow.
now.
Eddie
Can't remember
Haskell's
the thing.
son.
And Eddie Haskell became like a cop, a really, and he had a great son, smart kid, who went to USC afterwards, I believe.
Really?
But great
Amazing.
kid, and that was just my beginning. And then from that point, people started referring me back and forth, and got a call for this right here, your show, and I started working with you guys, and that's just how it was. You know?
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
And he had a pale blue
Oh, boy.
Honda Accord.
Yep.
Right?
Joe
And,
catalogs.
He had a little sun
people,
damage.
People in life
Had
by
a little sun
cars.
damage
Yes.
on it.
Little
Had a little sun damage
Oh,
on it.
Joe,
And I
little.
remember walking out because I'm a big car guy,
Oh,
right?
no.
Little
And,
bit.
and no, I love all cars though. It isn't just like actually I
You
don't
didn't
like
love my car.
well, well,
I'm sure he didn't.
I just
yeah,
I heard
he's
about it.
very
No,
opinionated.
He was
No,
polite, but I could
no,
tell.
I just
He was
wasn't sure.
opinionated
No,
about
One of the
vehicles.
upholstery's coming out.
yeah, I mean the springs were coming out of the seats and stuff. So I was like, "Where am I going to sit?" He's like, "You can sit right there." I'm like, "Okay." So he gets in the car. Now, what I didn't know was he's like, "Don't judge it by its looks. It runs pretty good." I was like, "Okay." So and it was a stick. you
Yeah,
know?
oh, I remember.
Oh yeah. And what I didn't know was that my tutor was also Mario Andretti. So he drives. I mean, he goes, "You buckled?" I'm like, "Great." He's like, "Okay." I was like, "Ah!" He was driving this thing. And you feel everything.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
this
yeah.
was like what year was that? Like
I
a
don't know.
79, 80, something like
that.
that. You felt everything.
Yeah.
Turns. You know those scenes in those movies where you're like in Italy and they're driving those cars down the thing. I literally every time, and I was like, I actually learned to love it. He was an amazing driver. The
Yeah.
thing was on rails.
Yeah.
This car was on rails.
You know what's funny is, so I'm not a car person, but I remember the sensations I would get
Yes.
I didn't
driving
know
in your
this.
car.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. I mean, again, this is a little bit off the beaten path, but in Vancouver, when I got bit by that dog,
Oh my.
They
Wait a
put me-
minute. That's a whole
Yeah,
story.
they
Go
put me-
into
we
that.
talked
Jumped
about
into
that.
a
No, I know,
story
but there's
here.
relevance here. Hold on, the relevance.
As long as you back up.
I got attacked by a dog. I've told this story before. People know I got torn up,
But not
they put-
Rocky's.
Wait, can I tell my version? Because
Yeah.
Sure.
remember this. that
Yes.
I'm always right. I'm old. I saw that.
I know. I don't really
review.
quite remember.
You kept putting your face. You love dogs.
Yeah, I know.
And you keep on
I know.
putting your face in there. Your mom would say, "Don't put your
I
face in the
know.
dogs. Don't. Go to Vancouver, this beautiful place." What did you do?
I put my face in there.
This is career ending. Could be. You know. it's
Yeah.
We
like,
were up
it
there
was
shooting
terrifying.
Brothers of the
I know.
Frontier.
I know.
We were up there shooting
didn't
Brothers
care.
of the Frontier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rocky, at this point, we had been together for several years, and Rocky basically traveled with us on
Yeah.
all of our projects because
It's so
Rocky,
fun.
it was so
That was
great.
a.
It was
I
really
remember
fun.
that hotel room with like the balcony, and we did that. We
was
did
just-
the science experiment where we made the
Yeah.
things in the tubes and the like. I
It
like,
was-
Speaking of,
It was so brilliant, and really, you became part of our family. I mean,
Yeah,
that's why,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you guys have been family ever since, which is the blessing of it all. So it was like
And you're
having
part of
an
my
ex-
family.
well-
my kids see you as like uncles.
Oh,
you know, so
that's
yes.
it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
And so when Rocky was up there, it was like Uncle Rocky was up there, and it was just literally like another. It was like an
so
uncle,
fun.
literally.
Yeah.
It was like so. Thank God he was there.
I know.
because
Well,
Well,
let me
I
back
don't
up
know
a
what
little
we
bit.
would've done. Take us
I
into
have a
it,
little
Matt.
something to get off my chest because the reason.
right.
So we were up there filming a
Brothers of the
movie,
Frontier.
Brothers of the Frontier,
for ABC,
but there were some animals in the movie, and the animal trainer had a ranch. And of course, me being
Right.
into these animals, he was talking about how he had a giant 12-foot Kodiak brown bear that he had trained, and a polar bear cub, a pack of wolves, mountain lions, and I was like, I gotta come up there.
Oh,
and see
that's
these
why.
animals.
I don't think I remembered that.
I was like, I got to.
That makes sense now.
Please let me come up there. So he was like, okay.
he invited
one
us
day-
out to his ranch.
his
which
ranch,
was
which
far
was
out.
way outside of
Yeah.
the city. I mean, we're talking 3 hours outside of the
So-
city. In like
you were the reason behind
forest.
that.
Yes,
Yeah, of
I was the
course.
reason we were all there as a
all the
family.
chaos.
Now he had two mastiffs, these giant dogs that were guarding the property and his house. And sure enough, of course, Andy loves dogs. They were nice
love dogs.
dogs. It's just they were still guard dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, he tore me up. But
they tore him
it
up
wasn't his
really
fault.
bad.
It was miscommunication.
But anyway,
but-
Coming back to the drive, circling back
So
around to
they
the drive.
put me in the
So,
back of a. We got pulled over, and they put me in the back of a cop. Like a cop pulled us over on the way to the
wait,
hospital.
but
and
Rocky was
wait, hold on.
okay.
And Rocky was in a follow vehicle.
Right.
Yes.
They pulled me over. A cop saw my face and put me in the cop car and took off with the lights on. And all I remember is that somehow Rocky kept up
Oh, it was unbelievable.
with this cop car.
Yes.
I mean,
It
you
was
were right there.
unbelievable.
Rocky's an amazing
I know.
driver.
Yeah, he was a really great driver in that experience as well.
He got a Lexus GS. What was it 350?
Oh, my
remember?
Lord,
And when he
Joe.
first got this car in 2012,
Oh, my
it
gosh.
was-
You were happy than I
Oh, it
was.
was dope.
You were happier than I was.
Oh, he got it had the F package, which is like the racing package. It was beautiful. It was like a pearlized black with this deep red interior.
Yeah.
It was state of the art back
You
then.
turned into 12 years old
He
whenever you
drove.
talk about
He literally
cars.
drove.
Like
He
the
took me for a
little-
ride in
the
that
young
car.
Joey.
Took me
Here
for a
he
ride in
is.
that car.
His eyes
See
start
the
to
eyes?
sparkle.
They literally go back to
Yeah.
12-year-old Joe.
He took me for a ride in that car, and I literally felt like I was back in the Honda. Like he drove it like the Honda.
Yeah.
But it was an automatic. It was fast.
All right.
And anyway, so
So-
I digress. But that's why he kept up. He's an
Yeah, I
amazing
know.
driver.
Well, can I confess something?
Sure.
I was terrified. We were in the wilderness.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't want to be left
get
there.
lost.
There's no cell
Right.
phones.
That's true.
If I lost you guys, we were going to be
You're right.
camping.
You're right.
Wow.
No, you're
So-
right. That's 100%.
A little bit of motivation, but go ahead.
True. No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, so
Okay,
you guys drove to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Rocky was there for the whole thing.
Yeah,
whole
he was
thing,
there.
the
The first place
whole
wouldn't touch
thing.
me. Remember that? They wanted to like
Oh,
take my
they were
eye.
terrified. They didn't
Yeah,
want to
they
mess
were
you
gonna
up.
lose
Yeah, they thought
Wow.
I was gonna lose my eyes, and then they took me to the main place. And
And then that amazing,
yeah.
amazing blessing of something
I know,
happened, which I know we
wild.
said before.
Yeah.
But one of the top
renowned pediatric
plastic surgeons was getting a dissertation at the hospital.
and he
in
stitched me
Vancouver.
up by hand.
Yeah.
and, that
And
was
he
it.
came in
Took
and was
him
like,
into like a, not even a
closet.
It was like a
It
closet.
was like a
what?
legit.
Yeah, it was like a
storage
side
closet.
room. He wasn't
They
supposed
didn't
to
have
be doing
a,
that.
They didn't have a room or anything. and
But he
had a
literally
little,
looked at him and said, "You know, I might be the only guy
Yeah.
who could save your
had
teardrop
a-
and keep your eye from not."
he had a
falling
sewing
out.
kit in his pocket.
Can
Yeah.
you believe this?
In his pocket. He stitched
Yes.
me up with like a
Yeah,
mini,
I remember the little leather thing.
a little
Yeah.
leather book.
There's a person excellent at their job, you know.
Is that
Yeah.
unbelievable?
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
by the grace of God
I know.
that happened.
Super lucky.
I
Yes.
know. And I've got some great stories, because then after, Rocky was teaching Joe, of course, I got the pleasure
Oh, I
of
got
being
some
taught
good
by
ones, too.
Rocky.
Yeah.
And we had
Yes.
some incredible experiences. I remember I've got some amazing memories in the food court at UCLA.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
We'd go there
yeah.
at nights, and I remember I felt so bad because, it's hard when you're young and you're working all day, and then you got to focus on school.
It
at
is
night.
hard.
And I always felt bad because
Yeah.
I remember half the time. I mean, my eyes were half masked,
Yeah.
and I was trying desperately to stay
A
awake.
lot of
And you were so patient with me, and you just kept. It was like the train that just kept on going.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that because I was at some moments I was like, I don't know if I
remember.
could learn right now.
Yeah.
Stay with me.
Yeah.
Stay with
Yeah.
me. Stay with me.
I remember-
Okay,
I remember
you
a
do that?
lot of late
You
nights.
do. Stay with me. All right, I'm
a
with
lot
you.
of late nights.
Come on,
Yeah.
Joey.
A lot of late
Come on,
nights.
Joey.
Yeah,
you
I
do
know.
this. Stay
Oh,
with
yeah.
me.
Well, that was my role because I knew because it wasn't just that you were working. There was a lot of mental stress.
Yeah.
Politics.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It's a
yes,
mental.
yes,
It's an
yes, yes.
emotional thing you had
It
to
is.
do.
It is.
And I couldn't really get in there with you. I had to say, you know what? You came in here for 2 hours. We got to get work done.
Yep.
Yes.
I got to just kind of keep on task.
Yes.
So I kind of knew that. But of course, Joey kind of had worked me through the
Yeah.
ropes a little bit. So it was a little different. I was kind of ready. But you were easy. You were always and so curious about science. And,
Yes.
my problem was, how do you teach a guy that's when you have a 5-year-old biology book and he keeps up with the current research on biology? That's all wrong, Rocky. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But he was, you were very easy. You loved, this one distracted me. This one was taking me off tracks.
Oh, my
and,
gosh.
But you were just, you were so that little bit that you would do that was easy.
Wow.
You were a great student. All of you guys were. In fact, if I could just, I'm going to come back to this, but I want to say this too. Early on with Blossom, somebody said, "Hey, is it hard working with Joey?" I said, I didn't know where to go, and I was very protective too.
Yes.
And I said, "What do you mean?" Well, he's not very smart. I was so puzzled. Like, where are you getting this from? And I'm thinking he took calculus and Latin. He's, talked about these guys are smart family. And I thought I was just puzzled. I never watched the show
Because he
And-
played such
Oh
a
my
idiot
God.
Yeah.
on the show.
And I said, I'm
Oh my
thinking
gosh.
he takes Latin and calculus, and he's smart. One of my smartest I've ever had. And I was just so puzzled. But anyway, back
That
to
is so funny.
yeah.
Yeah, that plagued me for years.
because your mom always wanted the top level.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
She did.
3 classes. There's A. We want the highest level one.
That's right.
Always.
It was
Always.
considered
Always.
a failure.
Hey, Joe, wouldn't it be nice if your mom
Top
kind of loosened
level.
up your senior year?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have
Nope.
been great. Did not.
Nope.
No, I
Nope.
know. No. Pedal to the metal, baby.
Yeah.
Valedictorian. Go
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
All right. Go
Yeah.
get it. You know?
Yeah.
But it
My
was
mom
fun
just- it
taking
was
you to UCLA and going.
That was
and,
a blast, man. I have got such amazing memories, and even before that, you opened my eyes up in a very interesting way because, as you said, a very science mind. I remember that there, even in taking sciences, yes, I'd always it wasn't a chore to read and learn. I didn't necessarily have to study for tests when it came to sciences, but there was this one project I had about evolution, and you really opened my eyes because I saw the duality in you when it comes to having faith and religion versus the science of evolution. And it really opened my mind, and it set me on a journey from that point forward to find the crossovers for my brain where religion and science intersect, and how there can be a harmony there. You can have a science mind, but you can also have deep faith and be spiritual and have a religious background. Wow. And so that was the start of it. Probably around, I would say, 12 or 13 with you sitting there, because I don't know if you know this, but I was just taking you in your struggle of wanting to keep an open mind about, the fact that we had a chart from a primate to a human. But I could see in your mind that you were going, well, I don't know if that's exactly the way it went down. And it really opened my mind up. And I'm still in that journey, but that's one of my favorite things, actually, is that intersection. Because if you actually pay attention, you'll find out that science and religion are actually seeking a lot of the same questions.
Yes.
And so fascinating.
Yeah, no, and what's crazy is that we were all on this journey with him. I accepted the faith part of it, and Matt went on the evolution part of it. And there were several times where we would butt heads, like trying to figure that out.
Yep.
And his journey has been extensive, and it's amazing where he's at now. It's a beautiful place. But I didn't realize that it started there.
Yeah,
That's
where
where
it
it's
started.
amazing.
And I got the best
Thanks
of
for
both
sharing that.
worlds.
Why is
I
that?
just sit back and,
I know.
Rocky, you're the one that told me this, dude.
What's that?
I say this to this day, and it really has changed my life. Rocky's the one that said, a wise man learns from his mistakes, a wiser man learns from other people's mistakes.
Yes.
You told me that
Wow.
when I was a little kid. And that changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's my whole life was like, okay, I really need to take advantage of
the mistakes my
youth.
brothers are making.
No, and being young and looking around at the people that I look up mentors.
And you were
and
very, it's
navigate
interesting
through
you
that.
said that, because you were very observant of them. And you would talk a lot about this. I mean, it was kind of safe because I was protective and all, but to see, the two brothers, this two different views of life and your parents and all, and then for you to kind of decide what you're going to do and learn, and it's a big benefit being number 3.
I know.
Big benefit.
I really paid attention to it too. But because of you told me to. You were like,
Isn't
you
that
should.
crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And my mom was always talking. We always said, Rocky, you got to start a school. Rocky, you got to start a school. Rocky, you got to start.
Yeah.
No.
That's how I got to distract
I'm
you
gonna
with
do-
business plans.
He would say, "Wait a minute, Rocky. Here's your school." He would draw it. He would
Yeah.
draw this.
Really?
It looked like he
I
would
loved
draw
it.
it multiple times.
just thought-
and
I
he would
really loved
explain
it.
it.
I loved it.
Andy, I'm gonna get fired. You gotta get this.
Yeah.
learn
I
this
remember.
stuff.
I remember.
You'll be the one Lawrence I can't teach. Come on, please. Let's go.
You will be the idiot if you don't start listening to me.
You know what?
Yeah.
And okay, so I got a little thing when I go to sleep, I have this thing that takes me to sleep every night, and that is it's this big POV shot over the like the Pacific Ocean. You come across this incredibly lush jungle island where now we have all of our friends and family, and I go through the list, and your family is there, and you have a school for the island, and all the families and everybody's kids are all there, and that's what gets me to sleep.
That's
And I kind of
amazing.
drift off.
Don't make me
with
cry,
that.
man. I'm gonna
Isn't
cry.
that crazy?
Wow, that's
that
beautiful.
feeling.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's cool. Amazing.
That's how I
that
feel.
would be fun.
Oh, wouldn't it be amazing? Oh, I always think about that. I want like a big community with all of us
so
there.
cool.
It's just
That'd be so cool, wouldn't it? That'd be so cool, man.
I
I
dream
know, because the
about
world's
that.
not an easy place right
No.
now. It's
No.
a tough.
Tough.
We're in a it's a tough time.
Let
and
me
I
tell
know-
you, guys like you, we're losing a lot of our boys,
Yeah.
a lot of our
know.
young men,
I know, man.
because they're not fitting into these the way the school is set up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the school is the gatekeeper for the world
Yeah.
in
It
many
is.
ways.
It is.
And so we've got these brilliant boys, but because they're not successful going through the jumping through the hoops the way the school has set things up. Only the really determined, tenacious, rebellious kids, boys, are kind of making it out of that. And I see over and over so many brilliant. I've got this one family. Now I have to be careful because it's more current stuff.
Yeah, of
but,
course.
extreme out of the high level success. Brought them this boy, and he didn't interview very well at all. A little troublemaker. but it's not familiar.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've come to realize that they're my best kids. But his mom, I saw him so happy that one of our teachers was kind of strict with him. That's what he needs. I said, I can work with his family. So, because we're for a team, listen, it's all good. So, brought him in. He's got a great heart. He's so tenacious. He never stops. He's brilliant. He gets in trouble every day.
Wow.
Every single day.
Wow.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you have someone that has a lot of stuff, like we have a husky, and huskies can run
Yes.
1,000 miles
Oh, yeah.
in
Yes.
a Iditarod, okay?
Yep.
If you have that kind of an animal, okay, they're not going to be happy sitting in a room like this for
100%.
12 hours a day.
They're not.
They're going to go crazy.
Right.
If you have a great man that has a lot of abilities, they're not going to be satisfied sitting in the schoolroom staring at the walls all day long.
Yes.
You're
So
amen,
I think
dude.
a lot
It's
of
so amen.
I think a
Getting
lot.
goosebumps.
Me
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I just got goosebumps.
Well, this is,
man.
I think, if I could start, I'm 60 now. If I could start my new vision for
By the way,
school-
I don't know, just if you're watching on
Oh,
our
yeah.
YouTube, 60. So if this is
Yeah.
what 60 looks
Redefining
like,
60.
yeah.
Rocky and
Rocky looks about 40.
Oh, I don't want to digress. So keep going.
go,
keep going.
go,
Continue
go,
with this.
This
go,
is really
go,
good.
go.
So if I could start, and what I want to do is take these boys, the ADHD boys and all these boys, and just put them in a school. 'Cause that's my favorite. I realize what is my favorite thing to do. Now I have daughters, I love sons, I love all of it, everything I love. But I think my heart, I see what's happening there, and it's to me it's easy. It's a quick turnaround. But they have to do things differently.
Yep.
And like for you guys, I mean, you guys are smart. You're curious about the world.
Yep.
No one is more curious. I mean, all of you are curious. He kind of takes another level with the
Yes,
animals
he
level,
does,
obviously. But
He does.
car, I mean, everybody has their interest. You guys choose stuff. But to be honest, if I brought up some topic, we could probably spend an hour talking about it.
Oh, yeah,
Because you're
100%.
so,
Mhm.
you'd be into it.
100%.
And what is that? That shows high level of intelligence. I had the high school kids because they were bothered by this younger boy one day. And I said, listen, I'm going to give you $100,000. Whoever wants to start a business, you can drop out of school, $100,000, go start a business, and you have one salesman. Who are you going to take? Our A student, 5th grade student, this one, or this boy, the student who's, gets in trouble every day? Every one of them said, we're taking him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he will not stop. When he wants something,
Who will be
he
relentless.
he's relentless.
Yep.
And that's like you guys. It
And-
doesn't matter.
Yep.
If you chose if you became a neurosurgeon, you'd be world class.
Relentless.
Yeah.
Whatever you
Sometimes
guys
I
chose,
wish-
you would have done. I mean, Hollywood's it brings in a
Sometimes
lot
I
of
wish I
difficulty.
was a neurosurgeon. You know,
But I
is it too
think,
late? Tell me it's
No,
not.
I think, but we're losing a lot of our boys
Yes, we are.
because they just
It's a very
they-
important
because
topic.
you ask yourself this. With no offense, who's going to see this anyway?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Anyway, well, I'm going to say it.
The
maybe
entire
I'll,
world.
Maybe I'll be canceled, but think
no,
about it.
No, you're
I had-
not.
I had
You're
a
not
lot
gonna
of-
be canceled because this is a safe place. You're not going to be
I had
canceled.
a lot of wonderful teachers in my life. I loved my teachers. I loved school. I loved my teachers. I loved them. But as I started tutoring, I just had a different perspective. The world didn't treat everybody the same. I was treated differently. And also, for some reason, I had a different set of teachers. And there are wonderful teachers in the world. That being said,
Yeah.
there are other situations that are not the same. And
Yep.
you have people that go to school for 12 years. They go to college for 4 years. They go to teachers college for a year, 2 years. And then they come back and they teach school.
Yeah.
So their life experience may be limited. Now, not all teachers are like this, but there's a group of people, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't recognize this guy that's in trouble every day, but he's so curious about the world. That's
Yeah.
why he's in trouble, because he's so amazed at how does this work, and he breaks it to see what it's made out of. He takes a walkie-talkie and tears it apart.
Brilliant.
That's bad boy, but also this is a future engineer.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so it's how you look at it. And so sometimes these
Absolutely.
boys are just punished for being boys, and it can be girls too.
Yeah.
But we see it a lot with the boys right now.
Right now, I think
And
you're
so
right.
I think if they have another avenue, we can unleash a whole lot of. I talk to the kids all the time. I'm producing leaders at our school. I want leaders.
And
That's
by the way,
okay for
we
other
need
people.
leaders, and we need
Yeah.
leaders
Desperately.
desperately.
We need
Is it-
leaders.
Right
okay,
now,
I'm sorry.
No, you're
right
good, man.
now,
It's too high.
right now, we need leaders desperately.
Yeah.
Good leadership. We are devoid of leadership in this country,
Absolutely.
around the world.
Around the world.
There is
Absolutely.
nobody there, and there is nobody stepping into that place that has the stage and the
Takes
platform.
courage.
It takes a lot of courage.
And I've seen it, and I think this really is an incredible moment.
And I'm going to
in
interrupt
time.
again. I'm sorry. And that's
Go.
one thing that you guys never had trouble with, and your family really taught you all since I've known you, it's okay to do something differently. We're the Lawrence family. We do things differently.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's good. It's good to have that in a young man, a young woman.
I feel
but anyway,
so
go ahead.
appreciate
lucky.
that.
I feel so lucky for that my parents were open to that, because
Yes.
I would have been one of those kids who was labeled with ADHD and
Oh.
put on some sort of medication and never reached my full potential.
Yeah.
100%. And you see it all the time. I mean, I people are starting to awaken to this, that boys in particular, boys were not necessarily, especially these boys you're talking about, are not meant to be in a room at a desk sitting still for 12 hours a day.
No.
That's just not what these boys are meant to. And you're right, they're labeled as being bad. And now with our culture, with this whole they're almost against being men.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is
Yeah.
just, it's
Right.
like, it's so funny because
No.
it's the same people who are saying we have to celebrate people and their differences are the same people that are like, well, we can't celebrate a man for being a man.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait a minute, it's so odd to me. And
It is.
and it's this generation in particular. And yes, there is such thing as misogyny, and there can be this manliness that is over the top, and I understand that, but that also has to be celebrated, because men do have a purpose here.
We do.
And we do have something to lend to the
do.
world, just as a woman does, and everybody needs to be celebrated in their differences. And
Everybody.
it's really been lost right
You
now.
can't
in
cherry pick the
particular.
differences you want to celebrate. It doesn't work that way. You either celebrate differences or you don't. You don't cherry pick the differences and just celebrate those. It doesn't work like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I really commend you,
And-
Rocky, for wanting to have that space for men to become leaders.
Yeah, keeping
the
that-
way they should be, still being good men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because being, and this is another thing I heard that really rung
And
true to
accountable.
me.
I mean, Rocky's one of the best guys I know.
That's what I
Yes.
mean.
That's it.
And this is
In
the
the
thing.
greatest essence of being a man.
Absolutely.
That's
because
what Rocky represents.
It's that.
you know,
Remember,
and
I
that's
remember you guys
important.
used to get on me on this one when I said, be a warrior in the garden. Remember you guys
Yeah,
used to tease me
a
about
warrior
that?
in the
Well, it's
garden,
the
that's true.
same thing.
Yeah.
To be a lion, to be Mufasa, to be that king. He's got the most male propensity you can have, but he chooses to be graceful.
Yes.
He chooses
Yes.
to have compassion.
Right.
It's a choice, but you have to have the claws and the power.
But
to
here's
be
what's-
able to
here's
strike
what's-
when you need
here's
to,
what's
Absolutely.
and to
crazy.
know when to hold
Here's
back.
what's
Absolutely.
here's
makes a
what's-
man.
And
Absolutely.
here's what's crazy is
That's
that
great.
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
compassion and graciousness, they are always a choice. You always have to choose those. That is something that is vital.
That makes you honorable.
Yes, that
Yes.
is something that honestly it is not a weakness to have compassion, to be to be graceful and to have graciousness. It is not a weakness.
No.
It actually takes incredible strength
Of course.
to know when to use that and to know when to not use that.
And just so everybody knows out there who maybe is raising young boys or has boys that are getting in trouble and this and that, really take into account that even the business leaders that are out there right now, they're all saying the same thing. We're not going to take the kid that necessarily has the degree or has the this or the that. We want the kids who think outside of the box, that maybe had trouble
yeah,
in school. I mean, look
I-
at Benjamin Franklin,
Thomas
Albert
Edison.
Einstein.
I tell the
They all
story
had
about.
trouble.
I
They all
tell
had
the-
trouble
tell
in
the
school.
story
Yeah.
about. I think it was Thomas Edison who got his mother came home, got a letter from the teacher, and came home and told Thomas Edison. I read the letter from the teacher, and it was a scathing letter that basically told him that he would
It's not
never
gonna-
amount to anything, and he had and.
Right.
But the mother read it to him, and when she read it, she said, "You're the most courageous,
Yeah, she made it
forward
all up.
That's
thinker."
great.
And
Yeah.
only when she passed away did he find that letter and
No
read it
way.
and
that
realized
it had a
that
negative
it
connotation.
had a
it was
negative
not
connotation,
positive.
but she would
Yeah.
not allow that
Yeah.
to
Great
to
mom in
affect
your
him.
life.
Yeah, I
Makes
know.
a difference.
Mom,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So all the
Yeah.
moms
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
man.
No, it's
So important.
you know, moms are important, fathers are important, you know, and you got to take it seriously. I mean, you've taken it so seriously. Your wife is incredible.
Yeah.
And you guys
Awesome
have raised
family.
you guys
Man,
have
I
raised,
just the
Admire
most
by the way,
so
admiration.
and by the way, awesome is not perfect and perfect is not
Of
awesome.
course not.
It is, but you have the imperfections of the awesomeness are and the pliability and the way to be nimble and to figure it out and constantly be searching for better ways to do it. You do that in your life, you do it in your school, you do it in your business. From year to year, Rocky, when my older daughter, when Charlie and Libby were there, it was so great because they have these gatherings every year and the whole school gets together and Rocky leads and it's usually at one of the parents' houses or whatever. And it was these amazing moments where Rocky would go over the successes of the year before, what they're going to do
Very
differently. And he would tell them what they were going to focus on. And he got inspired by whether it was Latin or whatever he was doing. There was, there was creative writing one year, remember? that we were working on that. I won't name the company that you hired, but because whatever, we'll keep everybody's privacy, intact. But it was an amazing thing, and I worked on a song. Remember, we wrote the song for this creative writing thing, and and public speaking was big. And they would go on down these paths, talk about different paths, and every school year would represent sort of a focus on a different path, and it was brilliant. He also lets his kids, like, it's not really about grades so much as it's about learning and about knowing.
So important.
So if you want to retake a test, you're going to retake it because you're going to do better than this. You can do better than this, so retake it. It's not like, it's not rounding up or rounding down so the grade averages go up or down. They're not beholden to any one of these ridiculous fixtures that are in the public school systems. They can really make sure the kids come out knowing things and have a skill set for life, which actually is what school prepares you for, life.
What is your...
Not to know, exactly what an acute or obtuse angle are. You can find that in 2 seconds if you need to. It's training your brain. It's exercising that muscle to get ready for life. And you really do prepare people for that.
If you could...
That's why your kids do so well.
If you could if you could summarize your philosophy on education, what would that, for everyone out there, what would that be? What would be, what's the direction?
That's kind of a big...
It is it's a broad question.
Let me tell you what we do at my school.
Okay, exactly. Perfect.
Because I probably do the things that the parents don't want to do. So I'm good at academics. So we don't... If you go to a lot of school websites, you're going to have this big, beautiful mission statement, beautiful philosophy. I almost wonder, well, how do you quantify those things that you want to do? Make them a world citizen, make them all these things. How do you do those things?
Right.
And so I know what I know how to do. I can teach them how to read. I can teach them math. I can teach them how to write. I can do these basic things. And so we do the things that you don't want to do. We do these basic, fundamental things that everyone needs to be able to do. That these are the things that allow you to have freedom, that you're no longer a slave. The first thing we teach you to do is to read. And it's funny because some people say, you're so traditional, you're radical. So we're not this really progressive school. I mean, we have kids, they do very boring things, but it's really odd how they get excited about mastering, that kids love the idea that I'm really good at this. They come and they say, I had one girl, wasn't our top student, and she came to me, Mr. Glenn, can I call my dad? And I said, why, what's up? And she said, well, I got into my math book today. And I said, are you kidding me? I didn't know that. That was a thing at our school, that she finally graduated, had worksheets, and finally she got her own math book. And she was so excited. And this is like someone that doesn't even like school,
That's awesome.
But she was so proud that she had her own math book. And I was just for me watching what was happening, because I just said, listen, you have to be able to read. Western civilization has passed down knowledge for thousands of years through the book. And most kids can't learn anything unless it's visual, unless they've been taught it by a teacher. And I think it's kind of akin to slavery. I mean, it's not always that bad connotation, but my goal is I want to die. I want to know that when I'm dead, my kids can learn something that I never taught them. And what's the best way is be able to read a book.
Yep.
And so the number one thing we do at our school is we read.
That's
Most
right.
schools require, most schools don't even monitor, are you really reading books? They say read 50 minutes a day. They don't really know what's happening.
Right. So true.
But 4 books a year is pretty normal.
4 books a year.
We require, our kids are reading 50 to 100 books a year.
Yes.
Okay, Charlie would
Wow.
read
Charlie
probably
would-
200 books a year.
Charlie was reading 200 books a year.
Yeah,
Dude,
who
that
knows? I
is
don't know.
Not only
What
that,
an
but being
achievement.
tested on those books.
What an accomplishment.
And knowing
a
those books
wealth of
inside and out.
knowledge.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's
I
like,
mean,
how
that is
can, it's
so
almost like every time you
cool.
read a word, your brain is processing. And the more you read, the more your brain is exercising and language is being put, and knowledge. I mean, you can't just read without learning new things.
True.
And most of the kids, they come in, they say, I don't like to read. And the parents say, oh, well, I see those kids. My kid will never read. But they all do. They all do.
Isn't that amazing?
In fact, I've got one boy. He took us out to dinner. He's 19 years old, graduated from Berkeley. We started him on a college program early. Did his own
19.
thing.
Graduated.
And you know who he is, and a little troublemaker too. He would work harder at not reading a book than reading the book. He would have excuses. Oh my goodness, Luckily, you trained me well. See, part of my training was you guys, So I said I've been here
You're
before.
welcome.
I've been here. But anyway,
You're
so
welcome, Rocky.
I heard he's got a job at. He just graduated from Berkeley at 19. He's got a job on Wall Street, and I just know that his internship for the summer was $250,000 a year for the summer. That was a bonus.
Oh my
And he
goodness.
took us out to dinner to thank us, and I was like, "This is pretty cool," But so number one, we teach the kids to read, because then we give them freedom, okay, and they don't need a teacher any longer. Number two, we teach them math, because math is the language of business and science. Nobody ever came to me asking.
I want to interject
Go
real
ahead.
quick. Again, this is something I learned from you. I love science, but I hated math, which sounds strange because math kind of goes hand in hand with science. And you taught me that math was a universal language.
Yes.
And that's what opened my mind up. Oh my gosh, it's a way to speak science.
It is.
I got to get
Yeah.
into this.
Right.
Oh,
Anyway,
interesting.
sorry, go ahead.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And it really is. Nobody ever came to me and said, okay, I need help in AP physics because I had a bad 6th grade science teacher. It's always because they don't know trigonometry, you know? So if a kid can read and a kid knows their math well, they can teach themselves high-level physics. We've had it happen many times at our school.
Yeah, man.
And so it's just about being smart about how you put things together. So I want my kids to be smart. It's just why the Greek idea of a strong mind and a strong body. I like the idea is that they can do calculus and they could go lift weights or do their sport or do whatever they want to do and they have social skills. I want that all. But I know that my job is to educate them. But I don't think school is a great preparation for life, period. And schools that try to do everything, they don't do anything.
Exactly.
And so
that's
we
exactly
do,
what's happening.
We do academics, but it's very intense, very short, so that we get them in, get them out, because I want them after school to do interesting things, whether it's as you professionals,
Yep.
athletes. We have a lot of athletes, and they love it because they're hockey players or gymnasts or dancers, whatever it might be. And then they can come in, do their school, they go and do their life, and they're advanced, maybe a year or so ahead of their peers, and they're typically normal kids. They're not like geniuses. I'm not appealing to genius kids, just regular kids. But now they have all this time to make themselves interesting and to do interesting things.
It's brilliant.
So that's
It is
there's a
brilliant.
lot of ways I can talk about our school, but maybe
It
that kind of
is
gives an idea of how I think.
Yeah.
about
It
it.
is.
That's-
It is the creme de la creme of learning annexes, and it allows you to have a life, and you experience life as
So
a kid,
true.
and your life is not school.
It's so true.
That's what's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Well-
what is so cool about this.
Well, hopefully
place.
it gives them the tools so that all of life is school. So
Yeah.
that
There you
now
go.
they have
There
the
you go.
tools, so
There
now
you
they
go.
can learn wherever they go.
That's it.
That
Like
is
you guys
true.
haven't stopped. You have never stopped learning. You
No,
haven't.
no, I'll
I mean,
never.
It is always a fun day with the Lawrences, you know,
never.
because it doesn't matter what the topic is.
Yeah,
because
it
you're
doesn't.
interesting people that want to learn and you're always learning.
That's
and that's
right.
like the goal, I think.
That's right.
Knowledge
you
is
know?
power, man.
Heck
It really is.
It's true.
Speaking of learning things, there's a couple things that in the last like 4 or 5 years I've been learning, and that is decentralized finance and Bitcoin.
Oh, we talked. Yeah.
I know. We
Yeah. I'm
sometimes
glad I didn't
text
sell my
on that.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because that is such an interesting,
Yeah.
revamp of a system that we've had going on for almost 100 years now. That it's so fascinating to me. You know, the eliminating the middleman.
I was so surprised you knew. I don't know a fraction of what you know about it, but
Well, I did a deep dive
Yeah,
on it, you
yeah.
know, because I loved the principle of it, and I heard all these people going, "Oh, it's a scam! It's terrible! It's only used by fraudsters,
Fringe.
and all
Fringe
these." And I
people.
was
Well,
like, "Wait a
it was
minute."
originally created, for a good cause, but then it got looped into the black market because that was a way for people to.
And again, I
you know.
love when people bring this argument up because I'll,
Yeah.
I'll
Look at
throw
this.
I'll
Like-
throw this.
Oh, Andy.
I'll throw this.
You
right,
are such an idiot.
I'll,
I mean,
no,
it's-
no, no.
it was
I'll throw
used.
not was and not is. It's the same thing as any finance. That's why every $20 bill, there's a residue of cocaine on it. Well, if you want to talk about what's been used, the American dollar has been used way more than Bitcoin when it comes to fraudulent
But
scams.
the whole point is
So
that
let's
the whole
just-
point is that there is no physical dollar with cocaine residue on it. That's why it's being used, right? Because it's harder to track.
No, but it's the same thing, and that's.
I mean, it's good. I love crypto.
It's actually
I
not-
love. I
and here's
love
the,
it.
and
but,
here's the, and here's the crazy
but
thing.
I'm not
is,
saying any
it's
negative
not harder to-
connotation.
it's-
I'm
it's-
just saying that it
it's
was
not that it's not harder.
embraced.
It's not that it's not harder to track. It's
Why?
actually every transaction that's ever been made is recorded on a blockchain and is open 24/7 for anybody to go and see. It's actually incredibly traceable. It's incredibly obvious when people do things. That's why it can't be cracked or broken.
How is an extraordinary amount of it
because
missing?
I'll tell you why.
Gone.
It can't be manipulated because it's so transparent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why is it missing or gone? Because people have actually lost their Bitcoin on hard drives. That's
Right.
what's missing or gone.
They've
about it.
lost them.
It's a mathematical equation. Talk about that. It's actually a language. It's a financial language that is uncrackable by even U.S. government.
It's like in the movie
Because
Alien.
it harnesses
when they
because it harnesses more power than any government's military. Because it harnesses more energy, and energy is power. It actually uses and controls more energy at this point than all the world's
Physical
militaries
power.
combined.
Physical power.
So it's actually-
what a heck of a DWP bill.
Whatever the hell this
Literally,
is.
literally, this is the most amazing thing about it. somebody could go and try to crack it, right? And this is why I don't understand. People say it's a fraud and only people for fraudulent reasons use it, or like Andy is under the belief, and I truly believe.
No,
you
I'm
believe
saying
this.
that I believe that it has been used.
Well, of course,
In fraudulent behavior.
Well, of course,
and that
but
for a
not-
long time
but pales
it was
in
attractive.
comparison.
It was attractive mostly.
This is my life.
It was
No.
attractive to a big
then that
market of people that didn't want to have to deal with actual currency, right?
Well, that's the point of it.
Well,
You
yeah.
The point of it is to scam the system.
No,
You understand?
No,
I'm kidding.
no,
It's
no,
not.
no,
It's
no,
not. It's not.
no.
It's not.
The point of it is that
No, it's
is
not.
that
It's
it's not being used as a political weapon by any government.
right.
And it's a decentralized,
Yes.
it's peer to peer. That means I can send Rocky money in Singapore without people getting their hands in it
pieces
and
of it.
double
Yes,
dipping
right.
and taking my fee and your fee
Yes.
and that fee. That shouldn't be the way it goes. And here's another
It's
thing.
like toll roads.
Here's another
meters and parking.
Yeah.
It's like my taxes pay for this street. Why I have to put a quarter, 35, 75 cents in here as well? I already paid for this street.
Here's another thing that I
double
that I-
dipping.
From
that
money
I-
that was already taxed.
There's another
Exactly.
thing that I love about it is that a perfect example, a kid in the Philippines with an internet connection has the same ability with money now that a kid in the US has.
Right.
Strictly because of decentralized finance and Bitcoin.
Right.
That's the genius about it. It actually levels the
Yes.
playing field. It gives
And
everybody
just so
a
you know,
chance.
just so I want to go to the record, that I am agreeing with you. I'm just saying that at one point
Yes,
it was
you're
used
just-
by cyber criminals because of the liquidity of it. But now in the last 2 years, it's become more of a stable
Yes, it
coin.
has. Yes. And we'll see where it goes. It could be very interesting.
I am actually fascinated by it. You know another thing, sorry, I'll get off this. You know another thing I really love?
That's it.
that
That's
I just
nobody.
read?
That's
That I just read?
okay.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
And I love you,
this is a
Andy.
good question to bring up because honestly, I still see this perpetuated in the press to this day.
Wait a minute.
It's
the
used by
press?
criminals. It's used by this. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I go onto the blockchain and I don't see that at all. In fact, I see it less than people using it than people the
See that
U.S.
with a
dollar
magnifying glass.
with the drug trade and with the illegal arms trade. I see the U.S. dollar used way more in the back doors of the oil industry. I see it used way more the U.S. dollar.
We
the
did
actual
give
physical-
some printing presses away at one point.
Oh, gosh. Jesus.
Let's put it
We
this
did.
way. No, let's put it even this
We
way.
did.
Even the U.S.
I know
government
we
can
did.
turn on the printer
Yeah.
and just print.
Well, that's my point.
Trillions of dollars at a time.
So
they've
can
been
other
printing in the
governments.
last 5 years. They've printed more dollars in the last 4 years than have ever been printed in the history of the dollar.
Weird.
Talk about inflation. Talk about killing the monetary system.
Yeah.
Talk about making it impossible for people like you and me and all of us here to actually get ahead.
Yeah.
The future that's coming for the dollar is really scary because it's going to be impossible to get ahead
By the
with
way,
a normal salary.
just
With
to-
trying to do something in a middle class, forget it.
Just a quick anecdote. If you have dollar bills, check them out. If the serial numbers in the
This
front
is true.
are two different colors, one being black, one being green, that dollar can be worth up to $200 if you get it certified as a ink contamination.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So check your dollar
Really?
bills. If the serial numbers are
How
different
did you know
colors,
this? Where did you find
they're
this
worth a
fact
lot.
out?
They're worth up to $200 a dollar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you
Anyway,
find this
I'm
out?
Sorry I went on my rant. But here's something
It's
very
okay,
interesting.
Matt.
Here's another
Yeah,
thing.
it's okay.
Really interesting. I came up.
No one's
across Rocky that
no
was
one's getting this Friday back.
really that was really cool, and that is that scientists have kind of rediscovered, because a lot of this information was kind of being suppressed, and also now have kind of furthered this, that there's such a thing as biological levitation, the ability to fly using biological things. The reason why they found this is that they have
You're
the
full
pattern.
Goldblum right now.
Check
Yeah,
this
I
out.
know. He's
You're full Jeff Goldblum.
Check this out.
Yeah.
The pattern.
Flying for sure.
Pattern that they found on the top of a certain beetle shell. You know how they have those shells that flip open before
Yes,
the wings
yes.
come out? They all of a sudden, one of the beetle shells fell, when they were dissecting the beetle, fell on top of the other and started to levitate. And they didn't know how this was happening. So they got a bunch of these beetle shells and they put them on the bottom of a piece of board, and they were able to stand on it and levitate on it. They also realized that bees have a little small a cylindrical capsule inside their throat where the vibration of their wings causes a biological levitation that helps them
the
fly, almost like a
vibrations, yeah.
buoy does underwater.
Wow.
So there is such a thing out there,
Yeah.
which opens your mind going, wait a minute,
But dude,
we could fly through our own biologics.
oh boy. I was gonna say, back to the beetle experiment. The key to it was that all the scientists at the end would say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Come here,
Wonderful.
levitate. Let's levitate.
Come on. It's so good. All right. Come on. You want to levitate? Levitate. Let's go.
I just think there are so many
We'll do a
magical
levitation.
the sequel to that
discoveries.
movie's coming out. Beetlejuice 2.
Oh, really?
The original cast coming out. Yeah.
I just think there are so many magical discoveries that are still to be made.
It's
that
so
nature
true,
has
though. Oh, yeah.
provided us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So-
that's for sure.
What about this KB? What is it? KB
Oh.
K18B2?
K12 2B or
No, K18
2B or something. It's a
2B.
planet.
I don't know.
And the James Webb Telescope finally not only discovered water and carbon, but the element dimetrazine,
Yeah.
something, the element that only we know that life produces.
Marine life produces.
They found it on that.
They found it in the.
So
Wow.
unless there's something outside of our knowledge that produces it, the only thing we've ever found that produces is a living thing. So
These are the kind of conversations we had when we were hanging out with Rocky.
oh yeah.
These are the kind these cranial amazing conversations. And I don't know. Wow, my brain is tired. from
What?
that.
We
Yeah.
can keep going.
No,
We're just
why?
getting started.
No, my brain is tired. That's I always, you know what? I always find I don't get nervous talking about it, but it just feels like overwhelming, like a complete upheaval of the system. Like I like
You
the
always tell
system.
Joey's time. I just get a little.
Yeah,
We
like I
just talk
like
about
the system.
cars.
No,
Oh, yeah,
no,
it'll
no.
come back
Good
up.
movies.
I like the system. It's like this. I feel like we're in such a turnover in our process of life here in our journey as humans. I feel like we're in a real turnover period. Do you feel like
Yeah.
that? I feel like things are just turning over. So quickly.
artificial intelligence.
Well,
I mean, we
yeah,
could go
I mean, I
on
feel
and
like-
on. I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
That's
right?
Yeah, we got to get together about that. Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, that's
What do you think about that?
Well, at first, it's very scary.
Right.
I mean,
It is
when
very
you
scary
look,
at first.
at the apocalyptic viewpoint, it's
Yeah.
very scary.
Yeah, it's like iRobot, like that
Yes.
movie where they turn on us.
But we're here today.
Yeah.
What do we do today?
Right.
Yes.
And what I'm telling, like my sons are doing different things. One of my sons says, "Dad, he runs big budgets and big things in Europe and my job will be obsolete."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken over. And how many things are happening? How many film editors out of business?
Oh,
That
I
brings
know.
job.
It's scary.
Right.
It's
Right.
scary. It's a
No,
lot of stuff.
right.
So,
Yeah.
but this same kid I was talking about, he said, "Hey, he does computer programming," and he said, I heard they can do programming automatically. It can do this. You don't need any people." And he said, "No. At a mid level, at a certain level, they can do that. But the highest level, and he's the highest level, they can't replace that."
Right.
So how I'm looking at it is, I told my son, I said, "Okay, what you need to do is you need to replace yourself today with AI. Like find how would you replace yourself with AI right now?" Okay, there's a couple things. Now you find out what AI can't do that they'll need a human for, but also now you can be the guy at the top. Okay,
Very
who they're going to always bring somebody in who knows how to run everything without all the people, and he can use AI. So it's very exciting, and it's not like calculators. I mean, calculators
There you go.
didn't remove
It's a
computers.
tool.
Yeah.
But it's the most amazing, fascinating language tool I've ever seen. I mean, it's crazy. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I've purchased every service. I work on all of them. I'm playing with them because I want to be ahead, because I want to say, in a lot of ways, a regular tutor is out of business.
Yeah.
The guy that just showed up because you needed help with their problems, their math problems or their science questions, it's gone. But the person who can educate people, who can take a kid that doesn't want to learn or help someone through things, or the people aspect of any job, you can't replace until they can create a robot that is indistinguishable from a person, because you still have to get a kid to sit in front of a computer screen and interact.
Yep.
And so for someone that's motivated, typically good students anyway, they're going to be fine. So I think that any job that you can, anything that requires a human to human interaction like that, it's not going to be replaced as far as I can see now. But to me, I think people better just start studying it, learning how they can use it as a tool, as a calculator.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
100%.
it replaced people who were doing all the addition by hand, but it now allows all kinds of higher level thinking and analysis that we couldn't do before. I can ask you questions. I hired a guy from Princeton. He was worked for me for 5 years. And brilliant guy, loved him. He had a PhD from Princeton. He taught at Princeton, and I had him for 5 years working with us. And I didn't care about him teaching the kids. I wanted him for myself.
Yeah.
So I could just go up there and ask him questions.
Yeah.
And I could work through scenarios, because he wasn't a great marketer. He didn't know how to bring things to the regular kid, but I needed him to help me.
Yeah.
But now the AI is kind of replaced that for me.
Yeah.
I can ask questions.
Isn't it
Take this
amazing?
text 500 years ago, summarize it, analyze it, explain this to me. What if it was done this way? Teach it in this format. And it doesn't matter if it's wrong, because I have someone to interact with. 'Cause people are wrong too.
Yeah.
And I can, but at least I can have someone I can interact with.
Yep.
And I can troubleshoot and work through problems. So I've had to tell myself, I could complain and cry, or I could get busy.
I
And
was
so
the
now we're
same
busy.
way.
Can you
Yeah.
can you help me get busy? I need to learn this.
Yeah.
Gotta learn
Let's
it,
talk.
man. Yeah,
Okay.
let's
Can
do
we
it.
all
Yeah.
talk? Because I got to learn it.
Yeah,
It's
I
really,
think so.
It's
It's a
really
great
amazing.
tool.
Love it.
For the
is.
people who take it on as a tool now, and of course, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
It really is, guys. I mean, and it's more about, like you were saying, it's the prompts, it's knowing what questions to ask it and how to ask
Right.
it, and then on top of that, it's going to be training your own,
Right.
like actually
Right.
developing your
Like
own.
what was it?
system.
Gidgemagob? What's that old thing that used to?
Gidgemagob.
The old thing used to feed.
Thingamabob?
What? Sam, you remember those old things? that used to-
Gidgemagob? What is that?
Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi.
Oh, yeah.
Those
My
weird
kids
little,
had those.
Yeah, I had one.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
now you have a Tamagotchi AI where you know you hatch it from an egg.
Listen,
and
I don't
teach
want to
things.
break it to you guys, but this is actually my AI. I'm not even here today.
I mean, think about it like this. It's the same thing. Like
I
when
mean,
the first
amazing,
when the
wow.
first computer came out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
a
like,
tool.
Well, they're
It's a
talking
I don't
about-
want to deal with
they're
this,
talking
or do you want to
about
learn how to do it so you
agent-
can, for the next 50 years, you could be at the forefront of everything or not.
Right.
Agencies are talking now. They're asking if they can scan their actors because they're going to
They're doing
sell their likeliness to movies without the
that's
actors.
amazing.
So the actor will be
Yeah.
sitting on
Yeah,
his
they're
couch.
and their voices.
Yeah. So I'll be
Everything.
sitting on my couch but getting a check for a movie that I didn't even know I did.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
They're doing
Man,
it.
was I good in that film.
CAA built
My gosh,
in their
I was
office.
good.
In their office, CAA built
LA
a
scan,
scanning
yeah.
for all their clients,
They're
for their
trying to-
voice and
they're
for their
trying to scan them
their
in.
actual
And
likeness.
some actor that just needs a job is going to say yes, and their rights forever, for
Oh,
eternity
no.
are gone.
Gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
No, it's crazy. It
Yeah.
really is wild.
Biggest star in
Yeah.
the world. He's
Yeah.
like living under a
So,
bridge.
so how can you flip it around, because you got to cry for a little bit, then you
Wow.
get back to, okay, let's get busy. And
Exactly.
what are we
Let's
going to
get
do with
busy.
this?
100%.
Well, we are going to talk about AI. We're gonna
We
talk
gotta-
about
we
it
gotta
off the
follow-
camera.
I can't
And
believe
then
this
the
has already
next
been
time we
an
come
hour.
back here,
Oh my
our
goodness.
literal
This
AI
is-
robots will do the pod.
But this has already
We're
been.
not going to do it. We're going to have our AI and
love
see
it.
if they do it as good as we do it.
I love it.
We're going to have a
No,
competition.
we got to have a part 2 of this.
Well,
Yeah,
gotta-
we have
we-
to.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just
come
getting
back
Oh,
started.
it'd be
again?
fun. You guys are fun.
Promise?
Anytime, of course.
Promise?
We got to
All
get
right,
into. I want to
guys.
get
Yeah.
deeper into the
Wow,
education,
that was a
more into
fast-
AI, more into
That was a
crypto.
fast hour.
Really
Yeah.
fast.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But I do want to thank you and your family for giving me a job for a long time.
Oh my God.
And let me tell you,
Don't even-
give me an education, give me a
Hey.
family. You've been a family to my kids.
Yeah.
Hey,
Likewise.
And it's
Likewise.
been I never knew.
You have
know,
cared for my two
uh,
daughters like they're your own daughters. My
Yeah.
two oldest daughters.
All of us.
All of
You have
us.
cared for us. Like we're-
Coco's,
yes.
the late nights. Are you
Coco's.
kidding me, man? Yeah.
Coco's!
I know.
Oh
Remember
my
Coco's?
goodness.
Are they in business anymore?
I don't
don't
know.
know. I don't
We
know.
just said that together. That was creepy. That's because we're all AIs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
and we love you, man. We
Yeah.
love
Love
your
you so much,
family.
Rock.
You literally have
Love
one of
you
the
guys.
greatest schools, life-changing.
By the way, I'm coming
transformational
back.
schools.
I'm
Say
coming
the
back.
name, say the name. Give it a little shout out.
Oh, sure. It's Rockland Academy. It's my first name, Rockland, Rockland. And if you go, just type in Rockland Academy, you go to a website, which basically has nothing on it because you have to have a referral. But what I'm going to do, if you send an email to office@rocklandacademy.com, you can get information. You have to say, I love Andy, or say, I love Matthew, or I love Joey. And that'll be your referral. And
Okay.
so,
Wow, guys,
There it is.
you really need to take advantage of that. I can't express what an extraordinary educator Rocky is, and what just an absolute wonderful person who
It
has
will
really
literally
built
change
our,
your
our
kids'
whole
lives.
foundation.
It will
100%.
change your
And-
kids' lives. It
and
will turn your
I-
children into leaders, the leaders they were meant to be.
Yep.
The last thing I'll say is I am coming back to jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
Rocky's
I
also my
know.
jiu-jitsu
Yes.
sensei. I was out of shape, like extremely out of shape. I didn't feel good about myself rolling around.
that was
And-
in your head, though,
but-
because you were doing great.
Well,
Yeah, he was.
I'm ready
Yeah.
now, dude. I am actually
we
a
have
force.
to get back in there.
I'm a force to be reckoned with now. 6 months
Yeah.
later, I'm down 20 pounds, and I'm
No, you
doing
look
good.
great.
Andy
yeah,
is,
you look
Andy
great.
is going to dominate.
Yeah, so I'm ready to come back and kick butt for you.
Yeah.
Andy the
So
Anvil.
you're gonna have
is
to
gonna
get
We
dominate.
didn't say we have a Jiu-Jitsu Academy we've attached to our school.
Well, I want
We're
to
certified.
So say this. Tell everybody.
So you know that Elio Gracie, Grandmaster Elio Gracie, was 135 pounds, could do only one pull-up. He was not a weak, strong man. He had to find a way to adjust his brother's jiu-jitsu so that he could defend himself. And so that's what he did. He started it. His son, Horian Gracie, brought it to America, first Jiu-Jitsu Academy in America. His sons, Henner and Hiron, let me say the older son first, Hiron and Henner, have Gracie University in Torrance. And that's where I got certified. And that's how we are a certified training center under Henner and Hiron Gracie.
Wow.
Amazing. That's
we
another
could talk
one.
to- we could talk a lot
Definitely
about
check
that.
out.
yeah, he has
Yeah.
the credentials. He,
Mental
believe me,
and
he's got the
physical
knowledge.
acuity
It's-
go hand
it's
in
amazing.
hand.
Yes.
Mental
Amazing.
and physical
Yes.
strength go hand in hand.
Yes.
One feeds the other. And
I have-
I'm telling you, it's a life-changing place. It's Rockland Academy is a life-changing place
Yeah.
for anybody that really wants and has the ability to give their children just the amazing step and gift of this school, I would recommend it with my life.
Same.
So,
me
anyway,
Thanks,
I love you, man.
Yeah,
Love you, man.
Love you,
So much,
Rocky.
guys.
We
a
love,
great
we love
weekend,
you guys.
everybody.
God bless
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next week right here in the Brotherly Love Pod. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy.
Guys.
Rocky.
Thanks.
Hey, what's up, everybody? The
Lawrence brothers are here.
Thank you so much for enjoying this week's episode of the Brotherly Love Pod.
And if you want more of this show, check out our premium feed on Supercast.
That's right, where you'll see ad-free episodes, monthly AMAs, behind-the-scene content, and so much more.
That's brotherlylove.supercast.com to join.
Check out our link tree and subscribe on all platforms.
We'll see you all
Next week!